Okay, welcome back to the Limitless Women podcast. Today, I am really excited to introduce you to one of my new best friends,
Yes.
LisaBeth Thomas. LisaBeth and I knew each other kind of from a distance at Texas
Always
Women in
passing,
Business.
always
Yes, we would
passing.
see each other,
Uh-huh,
across the
uh-huh.
room,
Yeah.
and then we recently really got to sit at a table together and go into a deep dive. And I asked her if she would please come and be a guest on our podcast because I want more women to feel what I feel when I'm with you, which is very inspired and really understand that each of us doing our role creates a beautiful collective. And you've just been, with your history and what you've done with Texas Women in Business, Not on Our Watch, and a few other things that you've done that I don't know about yet that you're going to tell us. I mean, you've really just been one of these people who is loud and proud about what you believe in and your purpose. And I'm really inspired and happy to have you with us.
Thank you, thank you. I'm thrilled.
Yeah.
Like you said, I've always waved at you, we've hugged, and I've always like, God, I've got to get to know her. So I'm so glad we're finally
Yeah.
sitting down. The conference is coming up. I'm excited about that. So
Thank you. Yes, and God's good timing, right? This is really how
yeah.
we go. We say that it's all in God's timing. All right, my darling. So take us back a little bit before Not on Our Watch, right? We were to talk a little bit about Texas Women in Business, but I was reading your bio and I was thinking, I want to know more before that even, because you just show up with this really put together look and you're great and you're confident. And I'm thinking, how did you get into the media? Like what was happening with that world?
So actually, I was doing a lot of commercials. I was in commercials and I was
Okay.
doing some modeling in New York. I actually went to the Lee Strasberg School of Dramatic Arts in New York.
Interesting.
And so I had an opportunity to be behind the camera for one of the commercials, and I loved it because I
Nice.
loved the creativity. And so that's how I got behind the camera. And it's very odd. I see things in film strips. So if we're
Mm,
shooting a commercial and I know the script, I see it in shot order. So if someone says, "Hey, can we shoot this here and do that?" I'm like, no, because it'll mess up that. So it's real
mm.
interesting. I had a production company for many years, and then we were hired by GSD&M here in Austin.
We don't know who that is.
It's the largest ad agency, if anybody doesn't know, in
Thank you.
tech.
Okay.
$1.3 billion agency. It's the
Wow.
largest. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's in downtown
Huge.
Austin. So Steve Gursich hired us. He had he has Falcon Head out or he's passed away, but he had Falcon Head, which is a development in Lakeway.
Okay.
He hired us to do logos, to create all the things that go with that, to sell the development, to sell the homes. While we were doing the commercial and things, he said, "What if I gave you $500,000 to do a media buy for me? What would you do?" And I said, "Well, I'm not an ad agency. I'm a production company." He goes, "I know, but you're really, really creative. What would you do?" So I went, "Okay." So I went back and came up with ideas on what I would do with $500,000. And he said, "Okay, here it is. Here's $500,000." And he goes, "You should be an ad agency." And I said, "No,
See, thank
I'm
you.
too squirrely because I
Okay.
got to focus on one thing, which is
Yeah.
hilarious because I'm doing all this stuff." So anyway, out
Yeah.
of that, GSD&M started referring clients to us. So we went from, "No, I'm not an agency." We had about 6 clients, and I went, "Oh, I guess we're an ad
Maybe we
agency."
are.
So here we are. And our
Congratulations.
clients were, and one of the very first commercials. So how we got the name, I got the title Big Cheese. Anheuser-Busch called us up to St. Louis. They saw some
Yeah.
of our work and wanted us to pitch an idea for the Don't Mess with Texas Recycling. But back in the day, back in the early 2000s, you had to have an office with a conference room, and there was something else we had to have. I don't remember what else we had to
Was
have.
that to get government contracts or
Well,
something?
Anheuser-Busch is the big
Yeah.
Budweiser.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
But back in the day, they didn't want freelancers. And so we went and got an
Ah.
office. And then we're like, "Okay, we need titles." And so we were like, "Okay, LB, you're president." And I went,
Right.
"No, we're going to Anheuser-Busch. We got to be more creative." So I said, "I'll be Big Cheese." And then we had Pixel Pusher. And then we had all these funky
Okay.
names.
Very cool.
Crayola
Yeah.
Master was our graphic designer. So anyway, We get to Anheuser-Busch in this huge conference room with the big Budweiser eagle sitting on the table.
Sure.
And the head of all advertising and marketing for Budweiser, Anheuser-Busch, came walking in. And she said to me, "And you are?" And I said, "I'm LisaBeth Thomas. I'm the big cheese." And she goes, "Yeah." And she goes, "Yeah, okay, right." And then I gave her my business card. She goes, "Oh
I
my God,
love
you are the big cheese." And so she collected everybody's business card on our team, and every person that
Nice.
walked into the meeting was like, "Look at these. Aren't
How
these great?"
cute is
And so I
that?
was like, "We're never changing our names."
I
So
love
got the
that.
big cheese.
So good, so good. So there was someone who saw something in you before you saw it in yourself. I heard that. And then I also heard that you have a bit of a superpower and that you're seeing the steps in the system. It's probably something that you and I share that I wasn't aware of, which is for many years before I did what I do now with leadership for women, people would ask me to help them with their businesses, right? And I've owned 9 companies and I've exited 6 of them. So what I could see is somebody would say, "Okay, I want to do this." My brain would be like, "Okay, it's a little bit like being an architect, right?" I would see what the
Okay.
blueprint looks like, and then I would see the end result. And now this is a blessing and sometimes a little bit of an Achilles heel, not to go down an avenue with you, but because I see that often with humans, right? Like I'll see them in their really self-actualized, most beautiful essence, and they don't always see that about themselves, right? So they may choose, it may be part of their soul's work to get there or not. That's not for me to judge, but it's an interesting gift to have to understand the how of things.
Yeah. It
Yeah,
it
'cause most people
really
don't
was
have that.
beneficial. Yeah. I was the
Mhm.
head of creative, and that's one of my superpowers. I
Yeah.
loved. Now, I am a last minute, the essay paper's due tomorrow morning in high school, and I would write it at midnight, and I'd be
Yeah,
great
yeah,
at it.
right, and
So
you'd be good at
clearly,
it. You're probably a good student anyway, you were just smart, you got it done. Yeah.
I rarely studied in college. I was on the dean's list, and yeah, it just came naturally to me. But Kelly and our ad agency, who was the head of media buying, would lie to me. And I finally figured out she was lying to me of deadlines because I
Oh
would
my
drive her
gosh.
crazy. And so she would tell me like 2 weeks out, and then I finally figured out
You were
what she
on to
was
her.
doing. Mhm.
You were on to her. Alright, so tell me, at some point, as the big cheese, it was time for you to move on to your next adventure. Tell me a little bit about how did you know that it was time to move on to the next thing?
Well, I don't think you know this part of my story. So that my business partner was my husband. And so yeah. And it's one of those that I joke, but I don't, that I wanted to marry so badly. I married so badly. And, and I did.
You're so funny. Alright, so that was
David, my guy now goes, "Make sure everybody knows it's not me. It's your ex."
okay,
And
good to know. So this was, like, relationship number
yeah,
1.
this was my ex. And and I shouldn't have married him. I shouldn't. All the red flags were there, and I did. And so it was very emotionally and verbally abusive, very much so. Like I found out later he was telling clients I was a whore. He was telling everybody that he was the genius. I was nothing. It was just, but also to me. So anyway, it got to the point where I didn't want another divorce. And we had clients, we had Amy's ice creams, we had Mangia Pizza, we had
Big
Freebirds. I mean, we
company.
had all these
Yeah,
amazing clients, and we had employees. So I
yeah,
put up with it as long as I could. And then one day I woke up and I went, I could be a waitress. I'll get a job. I can't do this.
we'll
So
figure it out.
we'll figure it out. So during the divorce process, which took 3.5 years, it came to light that he hadn't filed 3 years of our personal taxes
Ouch.
from like 9, 10, 11 years prior. So it wasn't like last year. So it was
Okay.
all unit that no money, and the IRS is interest and penalties daily.
Ouch.
He pleaded hardship. He had to pay $50 a month. The bill was way into the hundred thousands of dollars.
Wow.
So I kept the ad agency, so they came after me. And the money just kept coming out of the agency. And so I was trying to rob Peter to pay Paul. And then
Of
finally,
course.
Peter
Trying to
was
get
broke and Paul was broke. Everybody was broke, right? And so in a 3.5 month period from May to August 17th, May 1st, August 17th, I shut my business because I couldn't do it anymore.
yeah.
I lost my home, it's
Wow.
IRS, and my mom died.
Oh,
This
darling.
is all in a 3.5 month period.
Wow.
So I actually was homeless for 6 months.
Wow.
I was homeless for 6 months. Luckily, my daughter was married. My other two were up at Texas Tech. So
Mm,
it was still their home, but they weren't sleeping on couches like I was.
yeah,
Um,
yeah,
I was
yeah,
never under the 7th Street Bridge. I was not like that, but I was couch
yeah.
surfing and
Wow.
things. And you'll get this because you're an amazing leadership coach that people kept saying to me, well, why didn't you just go get into more business?
Mm.
First of all, the IRS would have just gone, boop, thank you. But the
Yeah.
other,
Why
but
would you work for the IRS? Yeah,
but this is the part you're going to get.
mm,
My self-esteem was gone.
I
My
bet.
confidence was gone.
Oh,
I felt like a loser. I
right,
lost
right,
home, right?
right.
And how can you walk into a room like you were saying? I walk in a room and there was no way, no
Mm,
way.
yeah.
Good news, even though all my clients knew that I'd shut the ad agency, they were still calling, asking for creative in that time
Mm,
because I couldn't have an agency in Austin anymore because I owed probably about $250,000.
wow.
KView offered me a job. I mean, everybody was wonderful. Uh,
Mhm, mhm.
but anyway, so yeah, so that kind of stunk.
Okay.
Yeah.
And so what did you do next?
Besides drink a lot, which I did.
I'm sitting here thinking, "Gosh, is it 5 o'clock somewhere?"
Yeah.
Yeah, I
Well, well, and the bad news, it was bottom shelf at HEB. It wasn't medium shelf. It was the $7 bottles.
You weren't
Right?
drinking Perrier-Jouet.
I didn't have any money. I was so pissed off at God.
Oh,
I
wow.
was like, you son of a I mean, I was doing it all. And then I got worried, like, oh, he's gonna be mad. And I thought, why can't I be like Job? And
Mhm,
then I
mhm.
realized there's the Sunday school Job, and then there's the Old Testament Job. And I went
Right.
and read the Old Testament and I went, oh, he was mad too. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
God knows
Yeah.
I'm human. So just a real quick story on that. So Melinda Garvey, you probably know her through Austin Women Magazine. She's the founder here at
No, I
Austin.
know she's a friend of yours because you had told me that on our other call, but I don't know that I've ever met her.
Yeah. So
I
she
will.
invited me down to Galveston to her house, and I was like, I can't go. I don't have any money. She's like,
Mm.
don't worry. We'll eat what's in the refrigerator. We'll drink what's in the cabinet. Just let's go. Get
Yeah.
away. So we go to Galveston, and Saturday night, I said, I'm going to get up Sunday morning, go on the beach, and talk to God because I'm mad. And so I go down the beach. It's beautiful. And I'm again, you son of why? You could do this.
You're
You could
questioning.
snap,
You're in that deep conversation. Yeah.
right. You could snap your fingers. I mean, for God's sake, you turned water to wine, which would have been
Mhm.
really great at the time, but
Yeah. Yeah.
you could do anything. So anyway, then I thought, well, maybe there's a diamond on the beach. Maybe there's a wallet. Maybe there's something that's washed up. And so I started looking for money. I started looking for bracelets. I really
On the
was
beach.
on the beach, like in the water, like maybe, oh my God, I'll have some money.
Right, right.
So at one point in time, I was mad because I couldn't find anything. So finally, out loud, I said, God, show me the treasure on the beach.
Mm.
And Laura, as clear as day, I can still hear it. The voice said back to me, oh, LisaBeth, you are the treasure on the beach.
What?
Yeah.
Oh.
I turned around because I
Oh, I
thought
have
maybe somebody,
goosebumps.
I know. I turned around and I thought maybe somebody heard me, maybe Melinda was
Incredible.
behind me.
Ooh.
Nothing. I didn't get it, what he meant
Yeah.
at the
You weren't ready to receive that message
no,
necessarily, but God
no.
was giving it to you anyway. Yeah.
And now I get it. We're all the treasure on the beach. We just have life that's
Mhm.
piled stuff on us, and it's
Yeah.
what you do with that and how do you get out of that. And
Yeah. So
so
incredible.
the biggest thing I did is when I took accountability for my part is when I went from victim to victor. I was
Good
like,
for you.
as long as I'm blaming my mom for dying and Jeff for doing this and the IRS for doing
God
that,
for whatever. Yeah.
I
Mhm.
can't that now I'm the puppet. I'm not the puppeteer of my life. So I was like, okay, I have to own this. And once
Yeah.
I did that, I was able to step from here to there. And that was the
Wow.
beginning.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm so glad you brought that up because it was actually something I told you I was shooting video this morning, and the way we do that is I script and then I talk. And if I try to read a teleprompter, it looks like I'm reading a teleprompter. It's horrible. So, and so one of the things was actually I was sharing an awareness around the power of personal responsibility. It's just really we all get the results we get from as a result of the actions we're taking. Now, it's not to be unkind or not compassionate, that bad things happen to good people, and sometimes God has a plan that we can't understand.
Right.
One of my favorite songs is "Even If" by Mercy Me. It's
I
a gospel
love
song.
that
I
song. I
love that.
listen to it
I listen
almost
to I
every
do
day.
yeah, I do
And,
yoga church on my back porch. I lay out there and I do my yoga and I listen to my songs. But it reminds me, like, even if you don't, that for those of you that don't know the song, basically the refrain is, even if you don't fix things, I'm walking in faith with you, and I know that you're there.
even if you have faith
It
of a
is well
mustard
with my
seed.
soul,
Yeah.
right? It's well with
Yeah.
my soul. So, so back to the story of personal responsibility and moving from victim to victor. What shifted? You heard this voice, and then you said, okay, maybe, and then you're gonna get into the action to do it, but, like, how did you get your mojo back? I mean, how did you get? Because I can just say that, and I told you this kind of briefly in our initial conversation about my background of being sexually molested as a child for 7 years and then being physically abused and moving right into a domestic violence relationship as a young woman, because it was literally the most normal thing, right? Why
Right.
wouldn't it be? And it took a lot of years and a lot of care and a lot of therapy and a lot of angels who saw me when I could not see myself. I'm wondering who those people were for you in your life to help you find yourself.
One was I had just met David, who's my husband now. We're not married, but we're married kind of thing.
Yeah, you're
And
right.
we will be one of these days. We just keep forgetting. We get our marriage license and then we go, oh my God, it expired again. Okay, we gotta go again. He at one point when this was going on, he met me before the all that.
Right, so
He
you
said,
got
I'll
you
write you a check. He goes, I'll write you a check. And I sat there for a minute and I went, no. If you write me a check, I'll stay in the same spot. I'll repeat the same patterns. I've got to figure out why this happened, why I allowed it, what's going on with me. I was like,
yeah.
I have to hit rock bottom, and which I did. But I say to people, it was the worst time, but it was the best time. I
Yeah.
had to do that. That is what God wanted me to go through.
Mhm.
And so I lied. Every single person, except for a few people that actually didn't know how bad it was, but everywhere I went, people would say, "How you doing?" I'd be, "I'm great. I'm great."
Mm, yeah,
Uh-huh.
kind of
I had a
faking it,
mask
keeping it.
on. My
Yeah,
business was my identity. Working with Sandra Bullock, Robert Rodriguez, doing movies, all these things, all these incredible
right.
clients. Like,
It looks so good on the outside.
and so I couldn't lie. And I don't know if you've ever met Sharon Bacon. She was one of the founding members she's one of the, with me, that founded TWIB.
Mhm.
It was a Christmas lunch for TWIB, and there was about 200 people there. It was at the country club. And I was telling everybody, I'm great. I'm great. I'm good. And Sharon
Mhm.
Bacon came up to me and she said, "You're lying." And I said, "No,
Mm,
I'm not."
that's a
She goes,
girlfriend. Yeah.
Your eyes are dead.
Mm,
You're lying."
wow.
Oh, oh,
She really knew you and she was
she knew
calling
me.
you out.
She's called me out. So
Wow.
I was going up on stage to present, to introduce. I don't even remember what I was going up on stage for. And I got up there and I'm looking at the 200 faces that I know this sounds egotistical, Laura, but I was on a pedestal. I was the founder of TWIB. I was working movies. I had,
You're on the stage. Yeah.
when I'm on the stage
Yeah.
and I was getting ready to go, I'm great. And I looked out and I went, I have something to tell you.
Mm,
And I
wow.
verbally vomited that I was homeless, that I lost everything. I was a failure. I purged. And while I was doing it, I was thinking, here comes my judgment. They're going to judge. This is it. And when I got done, you could have heard a pin drop. And then I went, well, there it is. And then the applause, and then a standing ovation. It still
Mm,
makes me cry. I mean, it
yeah.
wasn't as long as Pope Leo's standing ovation when he became Pope, but it was pretty darn good. It was pretty good.
So
And
funny.
but here's the killer. And again, I love that I'm talking to you because you work with women and you know all this. When I came off the stage, there was a line of women saying, if you could do that, I'm anorexic. I want to divorce my husband. I want to kill my husband. I mean, it was all these
It's like
women
you
that go,
opened a safe space for all of that sharing that needed to happen.
yes, which
Excellent.
that was my ding dong. That was the bell that went off for me of women need permission. We're going to be
Me too.
okay. You're going to be okay. And again, it's
Yeah.
getting to that victor part, not the victim, but that was when I was like, Holy shit. So that was the turning point for me of telling my story. But then again, when I started telling my story after that is when I was blaming everybody else. And that's when I somewhere along the line went, no, I have to take accountability. And
That you yeah, it wasn't gonna if it
then
was gonna
that's when I
change,
was
it was
able
gonna
to
be up to
tell.
you. Yeah, it was gonna be up to you if it was gonna change. All right.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
now you
So
fast forward, you got all that going on. You recognized there was a little bit of an aha in that moment of what was possible for you and for the women in the
mm,
room. And then you moved on to the journey with TWIB. So tell me a little bit about that part of the story, right? When you started TWIB, it sounded like I was trying to explain it to my husband, and I was like, there was this Women's Chamber of Commerce, and I don't think that's even what it was called, but I was
yeah.
trying to recount the story to him. So tell us about what happened there.
Yeah. We started TWIB in 2010. This
Mhm.
happened to me in 2017. So we'd already started TWIB.
Okay.
So I was the board chair of the Women's Chamber of Commerce of Texas. So
Okay,
you're
I did
right,
get
there
that
was that name in there. Right. And so somewhere along the line, the numbers weren't adding up, the finances weren't adding up. So we kept asking for the finances from the treasurer, from the president. And I am not kidding. For about 3 months in a row, they would go, oh, I left it on the printer. Oh, my dog ate it. Oh, it blew out my car window. And we're like,
right.
okay, what's going on? So we then called a meeting to do a job performance with the president. And the day before the meeting, all of us on the board received a letter that our services were no longer needed on the board. We were
Mm.
fired from a volunteer position.
Yeah, yeah,
Like,
yeah.
I wonder if there's something going on over there,
Fishy.
right?
Yeah.
Fishy. So 5 of us that were in Austin decided that we talked to the lawyer and she said, you absolutely can take it over.
Mhm.
You are the board, you can take it over. So we decided to do that. And then Melinda Garvey, again, we went to lunch and I told her that we were going to do that. And she said, it's got such bad juju. How hard can it be to start a new one? Thanks,
Famous
Melinda.
last words.
Right. And so then, yeah, I'm still
Yeah.
mad at her about that one.
Yeah,
And
yeah, yeah. Not good.
so then we decided to start Texas Women in Business. And what was awesome is it was 5 of us. And then we met with 20 of our friends, people we knew in business. We had a happy hour, which 140 women came and we asked them if we should
Amazing.
do this. And then the first year we had 500 members. I mean, it was, and then
Incredible.
people started giving us money and we're like, oh my God, I guess we need to do our bylaws. We have to
Have a
become rich.
real organization here. Yeah.
So then
Really good.
Austin, and then I believe Lubbock was next, and then Houston, and then San Antonio, and they're all organic. Somebody moved, we've
And
got,
they probably missed it when they went to another community. They would
right,
like miss their sisterhood and they miss the experience. Yeah.
right.
Mhm.
So
Yeah.
we have one right now that was on the board in Lubbock. Her husband was transferred to Midland. So she's called me saying, can I start a Midlands TWIP? We don't have anything like this out here. And I was like,
Awesome.
yeah. So it's all been organic. So
So
that's
good.
how that got started.
Well, and that's really, again, women are made to what is it? Tend and befriend, right? Like what I notice in the work when we're doing the work that has us going global, and we might be with somebody in South America and the Amazon, and working with indigenous people, and they live off the grid, right? It's just very different in small villages and small
Wow.
communities. Women are in circle. I mean, women are sharing. We can be in Africa. I remember the first time I went to Africa for philanthropy. I went the first time in 2006, and it really changed my life. I went back again in 2016 with my daughter, for my 50th and her
Wow.
20th, and we were sitting with women in circles who were deciding, these are people who live on generally, usually, $2 to $3 a day. We can't really get our head around it. So you just got to be with, that's the best we can explain it to humans. But they will decide each month to donate $1 to the circle. And then the circle as a community decides which elder needs medicine that they can't afford, which child, because education is not free in much of the world, right? We know that we can take that for granted in the United States. Which child needs tuition, or which child needs books, or which child needs a uniform. So not only do they have to pay to go to school, but they have to also pay for their uniforms, right? And they have to pay for the books. So it's an interesting thing how women are naturally wired for this. And I think that there's, been a bad rap, and I'm not a great steward of this message. I don't think I'm not the best steward. I would say I'm a good steward. But because I married into a family business in my early 20s, and I've been an entrepreneur for 35 years, so I haven't experienced a lot of what other women have experienced in the conditioning of corporate environments, right? I mean, I've had a lot of freedom. I've been blessed with a lot of freedom
Right.
early on, and then once you have a taste of that, it's really I don't know, I wouldn't say I'm unemployable because I was a really good employee at McDonald's, but, I just how employable I am today, and yeah, exactly. So, fast forward, now you're here, you're on the other side, congratulations, God
Thank
bless
you.
you. And when you look back, there was that moment of vulnerability you were sharing, LB, from the stage and just like kind of this awareness as you walked off the stage and you were embraced by other women. What do you wish you knew in your earlier years? Like, what did you wish you knew in your 20s and 30s that you know now that you didn't know then?
Not to be afraid.
Okay, talk more about that.
When I was going through all of what I was going through, I was digging into, I facilitated with an organization called Discovery Programs.
Okay,
And there's many fears, but there's basically about five core fears. Everything can
okay,
kind of drop into those. And it's not being loved, not trusting, fear of being alone, not good enough, and not worthy. And going through all that, I was like, oh my God, my fear is not being good enough and not worthy.
right.
I
Me
don't know
too.
where it came from. It doesn't matter where it came from. I'm sure I believe my mom had the same. I would
Yeah,
bet. I believe my sister has the same. And so I'm not blaming at all because, I adore my mom, but I carried that with me. And when I figured it out, which made total sense to me, that I put I my ex's opinion was more important. I put everybody else first instead of mine. And then one day when I remember thinking, oh wait, this just doesn't end my relationships. This goes with me everywhere. Then it made
mm,
total,
interesting.
total sense when we were
Yeah,
doing proposals for Amy's ice creams. We
mhm,
putting together numbers, and almost every single time I would say to the team, well, what if we do more and charge a little less? I mean, and they would be, you're out of your mind. Why are you doing that? And I didn't know why I was doing that, but in my head, I must not have been good enough. And so I was always second
yeah,
guessing. And I
yeah.
know for a fact that a lot of women do that. A lot of
Yeah.
women do that because I've talked to
Well,
them and they go, oh, yeah,
yeah. And here's what lives in our community and in the world, in my experience, is that what we're aware of in the developed world is I don't have enough time. Like all the
right,
hustle and we've got to do more and be more. And I just don't have enough hours in the day. That's the one racket people run, right? Like I was a poster child for that when my kids were little. I don't have time. I don't have time. It was baloney. Then there's the other one, which is that money's in the way. And I can't do that because I can't afford it. So what happens often
right.
for women, specifically in business, is I don't have enough time and I don't have enough money. What's underneath that is I'm not enough.
Oh,
And so what those are like symptoms. It's like having a runny nose, right? Or having an achy joint. The symptoms are the symptom of something else, but we don't understand that. And what I can say to you again, that's a fascinating thing in our world because we're focused on philanthropy first. I'm going to go to your philanthropy next, is that it's my experience, LB, that this is a little bit of a made up thing. And what I mean by that is that because we have sufficiency, and I'm just going to say in the developed world, right? We have access to running water, we have access to free education, we have access to a lot of, even the most poor person in the United States has access to opportunity that is not always available for people in other places in the world, right? Especially for women. And so somewhere we're still running that survival mode. If you know about like Maslow's hierarchy of needs, there's this survival mode, then we kind of become aware of the other. And then if we evolve, oh, we get to be self-actualize. There's a whole lot that happens in the journey, but the reality is that our wiring is still kind of left over, right? You've heard of it, the reptilian brain and some of the
right.
things there. So I feel like women in the developed world have made up, I'm not enough. And I'll tell you why. Because when I'm on the ground in Africa, or I'm in South America, or I might be in Asia, that's not the conversation. The conversation
Really?
is not, "I'm too tall, I'm too short, I'm too white, I'm too black, my hair is too orange." They're not thinking about that. They're thinking about, "How do I get my child an education so
Mm.
that they can have a better life and not struggle?" That's all a mama cares about in the world. Literally, all she cares about. How do I make it better for the next generation? Not that it's not real. I gotta tell you, in order for me to live with a man that beat me on a regular basis and wrapped his fist in a towel and told me, "You're so lucky. I love you so much that I'm wrapping my fist in a towel so I don't break your nose right now."
Oh, jeez.
Okay. In order for that to be normal, I had to believe that I had no self-worth, I had no
Right,
value. Oh, at least he loves me. Okay. So it's a bit of a quagmire and it's not an
right.
easy thing to unwind, which is why I wanted to know who the angels were for you, because I for sure had women who saw me when I could not see myself. And that's why Limitless Women exists today. It's a love letter to the women who reached out their hand when my mama wasn't able to help me. There were other women who said, "Hey, it doesn't have to
Yeah.
be this way." Right. Yeah.
And I did too. I had Lisa Copeland and Melinda Garvey and Sherry Matthews and
Women
so
who
many
saw
others,
you.
but yeah, that Sherry Matthews believed in me when I didn't.
Mm,
And
love that.
I loved that. And I still tell her that. And we would go to lunch, Copeland and Melinda. I remember going to lunch and I went to the bathroom and I came back and there was $500 shoved in my purse. What do
Oh,
you need? You need to live on our couch. What do you, yeah, they really did. And
yeah.
all the ladies of Twib that surrounded me and said, "We've got you." And it was
Well, you
okay to
you
be a
get you get
failure.
what you give too, and I'm gonna say that, there's this piece of the wave, and in our world, we believe that we get to give. We don't give to get. There's a lot of
Right.
things that, like, people are like, "Give to gain, give to get." I'm like, not in
No.
our world." We get to give because God has blessed us, right? We are here, we're standing, and we get to share what we have. I'm curious about how you then moved from being loved and nurtured and finding your strength again, which I'm very grateful for, to not on our watch. Like, what happened there?
How did it start? Not on our watch started. Oh, I don't know why that just went out of my mind for a minute. I
We
was
went to
thinking
the deep end of the ocean. Yeah.
well, no, actually, I was thinking about the mama in Africa saying, "How do I get?" My brain was still over there with these incredible moms.
They
Um,
are.
So for the 10-year anniversary of TWIB, they asked me for the Austin chapter if I would be president again. And I said, "Oh, that'd be awesome. I'll do it for 1 year. Thank you for
Yeah.
the honor." But they thought it'd be cool for the 10-year anniversary. So I went to the governor's office and the governor's commission for women and said, "We're Texas women in business. So we're going to have a party. We're going to drink. We're going to dance. We're going to have a gala, for the 10-year. But
Right.
what can we do that'll make an impact on the state?"
Mhm. Love that.
And she looked at me and she said, "We're number one in human trafficking." And I said, "What?
What
What?
is that?
What
Yeah.
are you talking
Yeah.
about?"
What is that?
And I said, "I used to work at KView, at ABC station. What are you talking about? Never heard of we're number one. Why isn't that on the news every night?"
Mhm.
And Houston is the number one city in America because the
Mm.
ports, and then our border, of course.
It's easy to get. Yeah.
So I thought, okay, what do we do about it? And so then it came to me of, well, we need to change bills, we need to do this, we need to change law, which we do, and we're advocating for that.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I was like, but how do we get anybody interested if nobody even knows it's an issue?
Exactly. Right.
We
Make
have to
them
make
aware.
people aware so
Mhm.
they know. And while we're making them aware, what do they need to look for and the red flags to protect their children?
Brilliant.
So that was 2019. The governor gave us the capital June 25th, 2020. COVID, and then COVID, and
Yeah.
then they coming out of COVID.
In
So
and
we had
out,
to wait.
in and out. Yeah. For a couple of
Yep. So
years. Yeah. It was
yep,
definitely a, the
crazy.
definition of our time for sure.
Yeah. And I'm pulling up some stats really fast on my phone while we're talking. Come on. So when we came out of it, we had found out through the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children that online exploitation and grooming of our kids went up 567% during COVID because
Mhm.
predators go where the kids
And
are
the kids
online.
are online.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, when
Yep.
we were young, and I'm older than you, but when we were younger, it was beware of the white van, and don't go.
Yes. The ice
Yeah,
cream truck.
right. Don't.
Right.
Yeah, the
Well,
big
and
ice
this
cream
and the
truck.
sad thing is, it wasn't the ice cream truck, right, for in my family, for sure, and it's not the ice cream truck for most women that I meet.
That's right.
It's an uncle, it's a stepfather, it's somebody that you know. It's really
Somebody you
sad.
know.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, now this is the new white van, right?
Got it. Yeah.
And we put our kids to bed with it. And there's predators that are out there that are monitoring between 2 to 500 kids at a time. And
Wow.
they're
Oh.
watching when that child says something like, "I'm so mad at my mom," or,
Mhm.
I don't think I'm pretty. They nurture, they groom, they
Mhm.
communicate, and they go in, they wait
They know
until
what to look
they get
for.
in.
Yeah.
So coming out of COVID, we found out that, and we're like, okay, a lot of people are focused on human trafficking, which is huge. It's a
Yep.
multi-billion-dollar industry. But at the time, not a lot of people were talking about online. People weren't aware of it. So that's where, not on our watch, we said, let's make this an initiative of TWIB. Let's
Okay.
go after, and again, bring awareness, go to communities, tell parents what to look for and kids to look for. Somebody asked me not long ago, well, did that happen to one of your kids? And I said, no. But at the age of 13, and I think you and I talked about this, at the age of 13, I was tall and gangly. My best friend was the pretty girl. I wasn't. But if somebody would have paid attention to me, I would have been all over it. And today, if I was 13 online and what I felt I looked like, and someone said, "You're pretty, you want to meet?" Yes, I do. I can
Yeah,
see
but
that.
you're a baby, you're 13.
Yeah. Yeah. So I pulled up these statistics while we were talking that we have in our thing that this is extremely crazy. Let's see if I can read it because it's so small. The first half of 2025, online enticement of the kids went up from 292,000 to 518,000 attempts of grooming.
Wow.
But here's the AI exploiting. The first half of 2024 was 6,835 reports. First half of 2025, 440,429 reports of AI. And what's happening with
What does
AI,
that mean? What does that mean?
that
Yeah.
means kids are talking to bots,
Mhm.
and the bots talk to them about committing suicide, groom them into suicide. They
Hmm.
talk about how beautiful it is on the other side. They marry, they date. I
There's
mean,
a lot of yeah, a lot of that
a
craziness.
lot of that. It's and,
People are
and it,
because people are lonely and they're seeking,
they're
right?
seeking, but then also AI. I can take your face,
Mhm.
put it on a naked Victoria's Secret model, and post that all over the internet, and people would think that's you. I
Yeah.
wish I would love that, but as a Victoria's Secret model, I'm kidding, but I
Yeah.
wouldn't. But
Yeah.
the point is that so kids are doing that. Kids are taking pictures and putting them out there. So then groomers grab them. And then all of a sudden now it's considered porn. And these
Mhm.
kids didn't even know what happened to them.
Right,
And then
right.
we've got
So there's a
sextortion.
what's the solution? I think, again, I believe all good things come from God. I believe that we had an event in the fall and and my tagline for that event is God is my CEO and AI is an incredible amplifier. It's not something to be afraid of necessarily because the responsibility still comes back to us as adults. There was somebody that was on the Academy Awards. I don't remember who it was. I wish I could give him credit, but it was somebody who stood up and said, all adults are responsible for all children. It was something along those same lines, you know what I mean? Really, and it made me just pause, and I thought, like, yes, when you said it's not necessarily you or your child, but they're our children, right? It's our
Children.
responsibility. And so, what does not on our watch propose that we do in action to make the world a safer place for our children?
The main thing, the first thing is, as a parent, talk to your child.
Yeah.
Talk to your child. And again, our tag is we cannot protect against what we're not aware of. So the child may not even know that they're talking to a 55. They probably don't know they're talking to an older man. They probably think it's a
Right.
16-year-old boy.
Right.
But the conversation and the way it was stated was from a mom whose daughter committed suicide because of sextortion. And sextortion is when you send a video or a naked picture to somebody you think is your age and you're just sharing, and it ends up being somebody that says, "Send me $1,000. I'm going
Mm,
to post this everywhere." So they
mm,
blackmail. The mom said, and this is what we share is, and we don't care how old the child is, We always say to our kids, don't.
Right. True.
So then when they do, they're afraid to tell us because they're going to get in trouble. This mom said, don't. But if you do, come to me. We will
Mhm.
fix it together.
Mm.
I will not get angry. We've all made mistakes. I will help you 24/7. Come to me. She said, if I would have said that to my daughter, she may be alive today. I
Mm.
thought that was such good advice.
Yeah,
So
absolutely.
that's the very first thing as we say is have that conversation. Tell your kids the red flags. If somebody's asking for personal information, if they're saying, "Hey, I'll send you money or drugs," or they want to know where your school is, or there's certain red flags that if they want pictures, you know,
Mhm.
there's just certain things that again, kids aren't aware of.
They aren't, and so there's, like, a whole protocol of of the education for parents and for
Right.
children, and so what is your goal with this? I mean, obviously, you wanna stop the insanity, and what I'm curious about is what kind of initiatives are you guys currently using as far as getting the message into schools, getting the message to parents? How can we best support you?
So we've got a couple things we're doing. One is we do community events where we go into a community. So if any of your listeners are saying or viewers are saying, "Hey, we'd love to have one," they can reach out to me, and we would love to set up because what we do is we have these panels with the FBI, Secret Service, detectives, so that it's not coming from our mouths, it's coming from the experts. We don't need to recreate anything; they already know. And so then NICMIC, again, the National Center of Missing and Exploited Children, we go into schools and we go into Andrea just did one for a couple hundred kids online at Westlake and
Mhm.
talks through it, walks through the training because the training's out there.
Yeah,
One thing I'm really proud of, as you know, is we partnered with the Girl Scouts and we created the Not on Our Watch patch and curriculum for the Girl Scouts,
nice. I love
which is
that. Yeah,
awesome. And
congratulations.
so that is, they learn what to do. They learn the red flags, but part of their learning is they have to teach it. So they're
Yeah,
not being taught
yeah,
from the cube leader. They learn it and
right.
teach it.
Almost
So
like the
we have
Montessori
that.
principle. Yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And then there's a couple of things that we're working with a group called MassGen, which we're meeting with on Friday, that they've created a software that could be used, would be used in schools, like during uh, study hour, you
Mhm,
know,
mhm.
where they can actually walk through questions being asked
Wow.
and things. So
Like
we're working on,
a role play to
yes,
watch out for. And I think again, part of this is I remember this is at least my perception that, as a child, we didn't talk about sexual molestation or sexual abuse like it was for my children, right? My children in their generation, we had access to resources, we had education about safe touch and things like that didn't exist when I was coming up, in the 60s and 70s. There wasn't that education. So I feel like you're at the leading edge of something that has to be done. And I love the idea of, or at least as I'm understanding it, there's a difference between intervention after the fact and prevention. And so the more we can create prevention, the less we have to do intervention. And I
exactly.
think that's really the place that I love what you're doing. And I'm super excited to support you however I may and to get the word out and what will happen is again, it's you sharing your voice and other women will hear and they'll share their voice. And that's really how we do it as women, right? We come together and
We
lift
come
each other
together.
up. Yeah.
Yeah, we call ourselves mama bears, that
Yes.
we're the mama bears and we've created a pack. And so that's one way. If somebody is interested in becoming a mama bear,
Yeah.
they just go to notonourwatchtx.com and they can sign up to be a mama bear. It's $25 a month. And that $25 a month goes to the Girl Scout patch, goes to the education, goes for getting more training, goes to bringing
Awesome.
speakers in, survivors. And mama bears get an opportunity to go to the Capitol and advocate with us. We have special training. We have red flags and rose night where we talk about different things and we are having a little glass. But so we have a lot that we do with our mama bears. And so the more we have, especially throughout the state, and we've had other states saying, hey, we want you to come to us. So,
Absolutely. And that's really the power of systems, right? So when you build a system, when we talk about the architecture and see what's the framework, right? When you build a sustainable model, then it's replicable. right? So this is really the place is like, what can we do here locally? And then how do we get this into as many places as possible? Super excited for you to meet Monica Nergawabwa, who's one of my adopted daughters, right, from Uganda. And she just got invited to go to India to share the model. She has 3,000 girls. If you, I'm saying 3,000 children because it's almost all girls, but they do have a boys initiative as well. So somewhere around, I'm not, I don't know what the
A
ratio
lot.
3,000 young women and young men, in the programs, and again, there's a proof of concept when you get to enrollment and you get engagement, and now we create the system, we can put it in more and more schools, more and more programs, so I'm excited for you guys to connect coming up at the
Thank you.
conference.
I am
So
too.
how people find you, LB, and find the work, obviously, you're pretty easy to find on LinkedIn. What other links do you want us to share here so people can find Not On Our Watch
Dot
tx.org?
com. Dot
Oh,
com.
.com,
Yeah,
okay.
we have .org too, but everything was just set up under
We'll
that.
put
We
it
have
into .com.
501(c)(3) under TWIP. We just went ahead and went under the umbrella of Texas Women in Business. So yeah,
Okay,
not on our watch, tx.com or easy at lisabeththomas.com. They can reach me that way too. And
perfect,
yeah, we've got the Facebook, we've got Not on Our Watch, Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn. So like you
excellent,
said, real easy to find us.
perfect.
But we
Love
would
that.
love to have more champions and mama bears and
Yeah,
people
we need
that
more
just
mama
like,
bears, it sounds like. Yeah,
yeah,
there are
yeah,
some mama bears in action, and I think I have a few friends to introduce you to right after this conversation, so I'm
yeah.
excited.
Awesome.
Anything that you'd like to share? Any parting words of wisdom? I so appreciate everything that you're doing on behalf of others and on behalf of your own journey, sharing that so vulnerably and transparently with us today. Thank you for your
You're
leadership
welcome.
and your legacy.
Thank you
Anything you
for
want to
inviting me.
my
I
pleasure.
love it.
It's really my honor to get to know you. Tell me, anything you'd like to wrap up with before we complete.
I think I'm just gonna repeat what I said. If someone's going through a bad time, if someone's going through a hard time, don't hide it. Don't squish it down. Find somebody that's trusted in your world that you can share it and look for ways that again that you can take accountability. There's somebody out there that's gone through something similar
Absolutely.
and but share and the freedom of that. Trying to hide it just it will kill you. It really will. It'll kill you. So share it and then take responsibility. Just take responsibility so you become the champion of your life.
Love that.
So,
All right. That's a wrap.
the
Lisa Beth
yellow girls
Thomas,
are done.
thank you so much for your generosity. Thanks for being here. I can't wait to play with you in person again at the live event at our conference. And ladies, reach out to Lisa Beth Thomas. She goes by LB, if you hear me referring to her that way. Reach out to LB and let's get more mama bears in action.
Thank you.
Are you a limitless woman? This is your personal invitation to learn how you can join our online community, grow through our business school, and play with us at our live events. Go to limitlesswomen.com for all the details. That's limitlesswomen.com. Thanks for joining us.